We often tell ourselves a beautiful story. A story that our world is built on a foundation of peace, a shared desire for harmony and understanding. We imagine that the great decisions, the ones that shape history, are born from a collective wish for a better, more tranquil existence. But what if this story, as comforting as it is just that, a story? What if the real force that moves the pieces on the world's chessboard is not the gentle hand of peace, but the firm, unyielding grip of power? This is a force that operates in the open, but more often, it works silently, behind a curtain of comforting words and familiar routines, guiding our world down paths we never consciously chose to walk. The truth can be a difficult thing to face. It is far more pleasant to believe that we are all captains of our own ships, navigating the calm seas of a world striving for serenity. The reality, however, is often more complex and far less reassuring. The most potent forms of control are not the ones we can easily see, like the soldier in the street or the law written in a book. Instead, they are the invisible currents that pull us in certain directions, the subtle suggestions that shape what we believe, what we desire, and even what we fear. This hidden control is woven into the very fabric of our societies, so deeply embedded that we often mistake its influence for our own free will, our own independent thought. Think about the grand narrative of progress we are so often told. We are led to believe that history is a straight line, always moving upward toward a more enlightened and peaceful future for all of humanity. It is a powerful and optimistic vision, but when we look closer, we see that this line is not so straight. It is bent and twisted by the ambitions of those who hold power. Great eras of apparent peace have often been carefully managed periods of control, where potential conflicts were not resolved but suppressed. The stability we celebrate was often the result of a delicate balance of power, where the strong dictated the terms of peace to the weak, creating an order that served their interests above all others. This is not a story of villains and heroes, not in the simple way we might imagine. It is a story about the nature of systems themselves. Power, by its very definition, seeks to maintain and expand itself. It is a fundamental law, almost like gravity. Those who possess it, whether they are individuals, governments, or vast corporations, will naturally use it to shape the world in a way that protects their position. The illusion of peace is one of the most effective tools in their arsenal. When we believe we are living in a time of genuine harmony, we are less likely to question the structures around us, less likely to look behind the curtain and see who is truly pulling the strings. Throughout history, the pages of our textbooks are filled with the names of kings, presidents, and generals. We are taught that these figures were the primary architects of their times, making bold decisions that changed the course of nations. But behind these visible leaders, there have always been other forces at play, operating in the shadows. Consider the powerful banking families of Renaissance Europe. While princes and popes waged wars and signed treaties, these financiers were the ones funding their armies and influencing their policies. Their power was not on the throne, but in the ledger books. They could make or break a kingdom without ever firing a single shot, all by controlling the flow of money. This pattern of hidden influence is not confined to the distant past. It continues to shape our world in profound ways today. We might vote for a political leader based on their promises for a better future, for cleaner energy, or for more affordable healthcare. We believe our vote is the ultimate expression of our will. Yet behind the scenes, powerful lobbying groups representing major industries spend vast sums of money to influence lawmakers. Their goal is to ensure that any new laws or regulations do not harm their profits. The politician may have made a promise to the people, but they are often caught in a web of obligations to these powerful unseen backers. The very lines on the map of our world tell a story of this hidden control. After the great world wars of the 20th century, diplomats from powerful nations gathered to redraw boundaries and create new countries. On the surface, this was presented as an effort to establish a lasting peace and grant self-determination to various peoples. But the lines they drew often had little to do with the ethnic or cultural realities on the ground. Instead, they were often drawn to secure access to valuable resources like oil, or to create strategic buffer zones that served the geopolitical interests of the victorious powers, sowing the seeds of future conflicts in the process. This is the essence of hidden control. It presents itself as something else entirely. It wears the mask of progress, of security, of freedom, or of peace. Ordinary people are encouraged to focus on the grand spectacle, the political theater, and the public declarations. We are distracted by the noise and the drama on the stage. Meanwhile, the most important decisions are being made quietly in boardrooms, in exclusive clubs, and in private meetings far from the public eye. The true power lies not with those who make the speeches, but with those who write the script they are reading from, shaping our destiny in ways we may never fully comprehend. In our modern age, the tools of control have become more sophisticated and more pervasive than ever before. The most powerful of these is not an army or a weapon, but the device you are likely holding in your hand or sitting in front of right now. The media, in all its forms, has an unparalleled ability to shape our perception of reality. Every day, we are bombarded with a carefully curated stream of information. News outlets decide which stories are important and which are ignored. They choose the headlines, the images, and the experts who get to speak. This isn't always a conscious conspiracy, it's often the result of the media's own interests and biases. Think about how a simple story can be framed. A protest can be described as a peaceful demonstration for civil rights or a violent riot threatening public order. The words and images used can evoke either sympathy or fear in the audience. Over time, this constant framing shapes our collective understanding and influences public opinion on a massive scale. Big corporations, which own many of the major media networks, have a vested interest in promoting a worldview that is friendly to their business. Stories that question consumer culture or highlight corporate wrongdoing are often downplayed, while stories that celebrate wealth and consumption are given center stage, subtly guiding our values and aspirations. Governments also understand and utilize this power with incredible skill. They employ entire departments dedicated to public relations, carefully crafting messages to win support for their policies. During times of conflict, this is known as propaganda. We are shown images of a dangerous enemy to build support for war, while information that might complicate that narrative is often suppressed under the guise of national security. But this happens in peacetime as well. Economic data can be presented in the most favorable light, and social programs can be named in ways that are designed to sway public opinion, such as calling a tax cut the Economic Freedom Act. The digital world has added another layer to this complex web of control. Giant technology companies now possess enormous amounts of data about our personal lives. They know what we search for, what we buy, who we talk to, and even where we go. This information is used not just to sell us products, but also to shape the information we see. The algorithms that power our social media feeds and search results create personalized bubbles of reality for each of us. They show us content that they know will keep us engaged, which often means content that confirms our existing beliefs. This can quietly polarize society, making it harder for us to understand different perspectives, and easier for powerful interests to manipulate specific groups of people. So we find ourselves in a world where powerful, often hidden forces are constantly working to shape our thoughts, our desires, and our decisions. Faced with this reality, it can be easy to feel helpless, like a small boat tossed on a vast and unforgiving ocean. It can be tempting to simply give up, to accept that this is just the way the world works and that there is nothing we can do about it. But this feeling of powerlessness is perhaps the most effective tool of control there is. The moment we accept that we have no agency is the moment we truly surrender our freedom. The first step toward breaking free is simply to awaken to the truth of the situation. The most powerful act of rebellion in such a world is not to march in the streets but to think for yourself. It begins with a simple, fundamental act: questioning. When you see a news report, ask yourself, who is telling this story? What might be their motive? What perspective is being left out? When a politician makes a grand promise, ask who benefits from this policy? Who pays the price? When you see an advertisement that promises happiness if you just buy a certain product, ask yourself, is this a genuine need, or is this a desire that has been manufactured and sold to me? This habit of critical thinking is a shield against manipulation. This journey requires us to cultivate an insatiable curiosity. We must actively seek out information from a wide variety of sources, especially those that challenge our own preconceived notions. Read books and articles from different perspectives. Listen to voices that are not typically heard in the mainstream media. Talk to people whose life experiences are vastly different from your own. By expanding our understanding of the world, we begin to see the bigger picture. We can start to connect the dots between a corporate decision in one country and its environmental impact in another, or between a new law and the lobbying efforts that preceded it. Ultimately, This is not a call to cynicism or despair. It is a call to empowerment. Understanding how power works is the first step toward reclaiming our own. We may not be able to change the entire system overnight, but we can change ourselves. We can become more discerning consumers of information, more thoughtful participants in our society, and more aware of the forces that seek to guide us. By staying curious, by questioning everything, and by daring to seek the truth for ourselves, we transform from passive spectators into active, conscious beings, and in doing so we take back the one thing that is truly ours, the power over our own minds.